Well, hello there, studio owners, and thank you for being back here this week and listening to this episode. It's all about time, money, or trust, and we're going to talk about it. Now, over this month, can you believe that we're already in the last week of March? I know, crazy. But you would have noticed if you've been listening to the past episodes, the topics we've been covering are things like enrolments, if numbers are feeling low, resetting in March. So just moving through the hype of the beginning of the year, resettling, retargeting. But over the past month, I've also spoken a lot about discernment and what's actually working right now, about the refinement process, about foundations, about building properly instead of reacting emotionally. If that's what you're inclined to do as a studio owner, like some people are just so happy to keep going the way they're going and they're happy turning up and they're happy with their results. That's brilliant. Some of you aren't, and that's why I dive more into the building of the sustainable dance studio that's going to give you the freedom and the flexibility that you want for your studio. Because remember, success is different for everyone. What I deem successful is different to what you deem as successful. And that's absolutely fine. In fact, it's great. But as we're closing out March, I just wanted to pull it all together with what sits underneath all of it. Because if you're anything like the studio owners who are in my mastermind, maybe you're sitting on the fence or you're thinking, oh, maybe this is what I want, maybe this isn't. The studio owners who I am working with daily, they are thoughtful, they are capable, they're driven. Quite frankly, I think they're awesome. But you might be there thinking, oh, I don't know, is this the right time? Do I have time to do this? How can I justify the financial investment? Will this really make a difference, actually make a difference for me personally? And can I trust that this will work? And I find this really fascinating because these are the exact same objections and questions that your potential families have when they inquire with you. So in their head, they're saying, does this schedule work for me? How are we going to be able to are we able to commit financially to the fees? Can we commit financially to the time? Can we trust these people? Can we trust this studio owner? Can we trust the teacher? So let's unpack that properly. When a parent reaches out to your studio, they're not just asking about the timetable. They are wanting to know, will my child belong here or feel like they belong here? Will they be safe? Will they be supported? Will this be worth our time and money as a family? Can I trust this studio owner? Can I trust the teacher who is in front of my child? And here's what's powerful. You don't run your studio casually. You don't just offer classes. You are constantly designing pathways. You think about progression. You map out skill development. You train your teachers intentionally. You create class structures that build confidence. You are considering the age group psychology. You're managing parent communication. You're setting behavioral standards. You protect your culture. And you think about how a dancer enters a room and how they feel when they leave, how they're being corrected, how they're being encouraged and challenged. You think about the first 4 weeks of term, like the tone of your emails, the consistency of branding and marketing and the way your teachers are speaking to your students, the expectations around resilience and commitment. There is so much depth and intention behind everything you do. And I just want you to know that I see that and I see you in that and I know what goes into it. But when a parent inquires, they don't see all that yet. They just see a price, they see a schedule, and then they have a decision to make. Now, they don't see the years of thought, the late nights, the systems, the tough conversations, the tears, the standards that you hold. So what do you do in response to that? Hopefully you don't argue with them. You don't pressure them. You don't overpromise. You just calmly help them see what you already know. So that might look like communicating clearly. You build trust. You show them the structure. You demonstrate that you care. You allow them to feel safe. And then over time, that trust then continues to grow. So let's now flip that. If you were considering stepping into a room or joining a program for professional or personal growth, what thoughts surface for you? Because it's going to probably be the same. Time, the money, the trust. Will this fit into my schedule? Is it worth the investment? Will this actually help my studio specifically? Because I have the conversations. Everyone truly believes that their studio is different and special. And I believe that too, because there are small things that make you. So if you are paying someone or spending time trying to make yourself better, will that be seen? Will you fit into the group? Can you trust the guidance? It's the same psychology. So you're standing where your family stand, looking at something valuable, but not yet seeing all the depth behind it. Now, families will worry about time commitments, and you know that consistency is what creates results. One class won't build resilience. One term doesn't create strong technique, and progression requires commitment. And you explain that to your families with confidence because you know. But this is exactly the same for you as a leader as you run this business. It's the same. Growth of your studio success doesn't happen in the spare time. It happens in intentional time. And the question isn't, do I have time? It's what's the cost of continuing to carry everything alone? All right, so let's move on now to the question about cost and money. So families are going to question the investment. You know, dance isn't just choreography, isn't just about turning up, putting music on and teaching them to move around the floor. It's discipline, it's confidence, it's community, technical training, mentorship, character development. The cost is what's visible. That's what they see. That's the number. It's the value that they get from that compounds quietly, that builds this human that you have in your care and control hopefully into an incredible adult as they continue with you. And again, in business, investment works the same way. You don't invest because you're desperate. You invest because you're building something properly. So that the age-old question, is it expensive? Well, first of all, it's expensive if you're not getting value, that's for sure. But is continuing to do what you're currently doing more expensive long term? And then we move into the trust part. So parents they're really asking, can I trust my most prized possession with someone else? You know, will you make sure that they feel safe? Will you make sure that they feel special? Will you see the incredible talent that, the parent themselves see, like probably the most talented child ever? And do you build trust through consistency and standards and the communication and your presence? You don't build the trust by being loud and just continually yelling it out at them. You build it by being solid. And when you look at your own growth, trust is the same. So can you trust the room that you're in? Can you trust the leadership of that room? Can you trust the process? Can you trust yourself to step into the next level? Trust is built through being in the same space as someone, the proximity and the experience. But then there's the things that we don't actually say out loud, or maybe we don't even think of because, there's so much going on. But beyond time and money and trust, there are other things that we need to consider, like the isolation, the decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is a real thing, hey? Overthinking, carrying the weight alone, having to make tough decisions, holding those hard conversations, holding the standards that you expect the rest of the studio to uphold, answering all the questions. Survival mode instead of scale, like reacting instead of really carefully designing and planning what it is you want. And then what happens when you stay isolated is you start consuming more. So it might be more podcasts, it might be more scrolling, more posts, more downloads, more free stuff, like that shiny object syndrome that you may have heard of. That overconsumption then starts to fill you as or trick you into thinking that you're being productive. And it usually isn't. It's just actually reduces your capacity to do other things, like the more important things that will build the business. So the room matters, the people matter, and our space is not loud rooms. It's not ego-filled rooms, and it's not competitive rooms. They're really thoughtful rooms with incredible energy. And it's rooms where you can say, I'm tired of making every decision alone. I just want to step into this CEO mode properly. I want structure around my growth. I want to earn more money. I want to design and not just react. And that's where momentum changes. You know, when you're operating day to day, everything feels urgent. But if we can just get it all sorted and planned, then it's a calm feeling and you can intentionally start to focus in and grow. Because when you step into CEO thinking, you're designing, you're in control because you're building systems, you're forecasting, you can refine, you have the ability to zoom out and strengthen those foundations. It's structure, it's a proximity, and it's just having the right conversations and support. So the objections that your family have, they're not barriers. It's just basically like your invitation to continue to step up and communicate and prove to them why you are the studio for them, why they should bring their child. That's just what our role is. And the objections that you may feel are the same. So the time, the money, the trust, the isolation, the fatigue, let's be real, they're not signs that you're not ready. They're just signs that you're standing on the edge of growth. You are ready and feeling a little bit uncomfortable. That's the sign. And as we're wrapping up March, you know, because I've been speaking about it, we only have a few more days left of being able to join the mastermind for this intake for the year. And there's only a few spots left. And this is not because everyone needs to join. In fact, there's probably majority of people here who aren't ready or don't feel like it's the right thing for them, and that is so fine. But because some of you who are listening may recognize yourself in this conversation, the difference when you step into a room that is not just strategy, it's partnership. And it's stepping into your business. It's like me stepping into your business like it's my own. So I bring my 30 years of experience, the intricate understanding of what makes a studio work, your nuances, your patterns, and the blind spots and foundations specific to you. That's my superpower. I'm able to get into your business and find what that is for you specifically. And it's small groups of studio owners across Australia and New Zealand who are intentional, they're thoughtful and supportive. I've mentioned it before, and this might be some past trauma coming up for me, but there's no clicks inside. There is not that hustle mentality of, hurry up, you're falling behind, and there's absolutely no games played. I don't have time for games. We've got other things to do. We've got businesses to build and lives to live. So it's just the clarity, it's the design, it's the structure and the scale. And so if you have listened to this episode or the past episodes, they're resonating with you. If you're thinking, yes, this is what I want and need, but maybe you're feeling a little unsure, let's just jump on a call and we can work it out. I'm not here to pressure you. I'm not going to make you feel bad. I'm not going to, if I don't think you're ready or it's the right fit, I absolutely won't try and sell you in. It's not about that. I just want the right people who are ready so I can give as much as I possibly can to see you grow and succeed. As usual, I'll leave the link in the show notes, or you can always DM me, send me a message to Instagram, and we can absolutely get the conversation started. All right, everyone, I hope you have the most fabulous rest of your week, and I look forward to being back next time.